Hi, how are you? Welcome back. Rush Limbaugh, Serving Humanity, here at the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Study. You remember Obamacare came out. It's over 2,000 pages. We read it. That's why we know what's in it. The Heritage Foundation read it. The Tea Party people read it. James Petticoat, everybody. We all read Obamacare. We know what's in it. The media didn't. The media simply accepted the talking points. Yeah, you get to keep your kid on the plan to age 26, and everybody with the pre-existing coverage is covered, and it's free. And that's what Obamacare was. That's how it was reported. Your premiums go down $2,500. Your kid stays on your policy till he's 26. And if you have pre-existing condition, you get insurance. It's a beautiful thing, except it's all lies. The media does not know. The Democrats do not know. They have not read Obamacare. They have the ultimate faith in the lie that is liberalism, that they are the ones with the big hearts and all the compassion, and in everything in that bill, they trust that it's filled with love and compassion and concern. They have no clue what's in that bill. I'm convinced. Now, not all of them. I mean, look, don't misunderstand. I'm talking about the TV Democrats. I'm talking about every time you watch somebody on TV says Democrat strategist. I'm not talking about the leaders. I mean, the architects of this, Obama, he knows full well what he's doing. But their little their little ant farm of insects out there to go on television to talk to, they're just drinking the Kool-Aid. Now, here's Howard Dean. Sunday morning, he was on This Week, Needs David Brinkley. And it was during the round table. George Stephanopoulos talking to former Vermont Governor Howard Dean about Obama, Medicare plan. Stephanopoulos says, is the argument that the president cut $700 billion in Obamacare out of Medicare good enough? I mean, that's what Ryan and Romney are saying. Obama cut $700 billion. Is that good enough, Howard Dean?
Here's the problem with talking about $700 billion that got cut out of Medicare, which was then transferred to Obamacare, which takes care of the same people. So it's the problem is that nobody believes it. You can't convince people that a Democrat's going to cut Medicare. They don't believe that.
And there you have it. You can't convince anybody a Democrat would cut Medicare. Yeah, and you can't convince anybody that it's the Democrats who turned the dogs and the fire hoses on civil rights marchers. And nobody would believe it. It's Democrats that kept blacks out of universities in the South. And nobody would believe that a greater majority of Republican senators signed and voted the Civil Rights Act of 1964 than Democrats. Nobody would believe that the Democrats would devise policies that actually bring harm to the American family, particularly minority families. Nobody, he can say it all day. You can't convince people that a Democrat's going to cut Medicare. They don't believe that. And he's got a point. Obamacare, but Howard Dean's wrong here. Obamacare does not take care of the same people as Medicare. People on Medicare have paid into it for all their lives. The money they paid in is now being given to people who paid nothing. That's what the $700 billion cut is. Money that you've put in is being taken out and given to others. The whole design of Obamaville is to take from people who work and earn and give it to people who don't in the name of fairness, in the name of the people who work are just lucky. The people that have jobs that earn a lot of money, just luck. We need to spread the wealth around. Obamacare does not take care of the same people as Medicare. That $700 billion cut out of Medicare to go to the other parts of Obamacare, if it was going to Medicare, it would stay there. But still, Howard Dean, nobody's going to believe that Democrats are cutting anything. You can't convince people that Democrats are going to cut Medicare. And that's why Rachel Maddow and Debbie Blabbermouth-Schultz don't have any idea. Now this, I think Howard Dean's right. It gives us an idea of the mission that we have. And it's not just about, for every email I get, Rush, you need to send something out to the media. You need to tell the media that Ryan doesn't hurt anybody over. They're not. I really wish people would accept them. We're going to have to also beat the media, not convince them, not persuade them. They're no different than the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee. They're no different than the Obama campaign. They are an extension of it. Anyway, I want you to hear Debbie Blabbermouth-Schultz and Wolf Blitz. I've been talking about this. I got 2 sound bites. This whole thing runs about a little over 3 minutes, but I've cut it up. So I have a rule, nothing over 60 seconds in the sound bite, brevity being the soul of wit. But I want to play the whole thing, cut it into a couple of bites. And what this is a Situation Room last night. Wolf Blitzer, you got to give him some credit on this. He hammers and hammers and hammers, and she's clueless. Her eyes get big. She's batting her eyes. She's in Nowhereville here, if you see this. Blitzer says he does call, Ryan, he does call for dramatic changes for people 54 and under. But anybody who's 55 or older, or any senior living in Florida right now, they have absolutely nothing to worry about, Debbie, because if his plan were to be approved, it wouldn't affect them. You do accept that, don't you?
No. Paul Ryan's views 2 years ago on Medicare and how we can shore it up and preserve it for future generations were extreme and wrong then, and they are extreme and wrong now, and made even worse by the fact that now they're in charge of the House of Representatives. And actually, if Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan became president and vice president of the United States, they'd be able to end the Medicare guarantee, shred the health care safety net that Medicare has provided for more than 50 years, and turn Medicare into a voucher program, leaving seniors really out in the cold because as health care costs grow larger than the voucher provides, seniors wouldn't have enough money to cover their health care costs. And we know that the Romney-Ryan plan would increase Medicare premiums by $6,300 each year for seniors, Wolf. So we can take another approach.
But he says there would be no. He says he's not calling for any changes for anyone who's 55 or older, including anyone who's on Medicare right now. Those changes, and let's say we accept the description you had of all of those changes, that affects people 10 years from now, let's say 65 or 67, when they're eligible for Medicare, but it doesn't impact anyone who's receiving Medicare right now or those who have 10 years to go, 55 and older.
It certainly does, and I'll tell you how.
First of all, explain how if you're 56, 57, or 83 years old, how do his recommendations for those under 55 impact them?
And she continues to sing the song. Ryan's an extremist. He cuts Medicare. The price goes up $6,300. They take away the safety net. They turn it into a voucher program. Pull the string, and I'll say it again. I'm nothing more than a blabbermouth Barbie doll. Pull the string, and I'll say it again. Pull the string, and I'll say it again. Pull the string, and I'll say it again. I'm a blabbermouth Barbie doll, and I don't know what I'm talking about. I've been programmed to say it. Wolf, I don't know what you're talking about, but I got to continue to say what I know is true, and that is the Republicans are going to destroy Medicare and kill everybody. And that's essentially what she said. Here we go.
I'm happy to. First of all, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan presume that the people who are younger than 65 years old, who have spent decades in their working life.
He says 55.
Okay, so 55 and younger. We'll start with that age. Those people have spent decades paying into Medicare. And because of the arbitrary cutoff of 55 years old that Romney and Ryan have established, that means that we would no longer, for those people, have Medicare be a guarantee. Instead, we would shred that safety net. It would no longer be a guarantee. It would be a voucher. They'd pay more than $6,000 more in premiums to pay for their Medicare coverage. And because health care costs often rise higher than that voucher would at a faster rate, the voucher wouldn't provide for all the health care costs.
That would affect only for people who are under 55 right now. Current recipients of Medicare.
Why do we presume?
I mean, he says that his proposal, and he spelled it out in the House Budget Committee. He's the chairman of that committee. He says there would be absolutely no change for any. So you're familiar with his recommendations that no one over 55 would be impacted by his recommended changes.
Okay, here's how, though. As I said, because, first of all, we do care that we have a safety net in place in health care for people who are 65 now and for people as they turn 65. We made a decision in the 1960s.
But they would continue to have that safety net.
No, they wouldn't, because
he says that anybody over 55 is still going to receive exactly the same Medicare that they receive right now.
Okay, but Wolf, they end their plan ends Medicare as we know it.
For people under 55 years old.
Yes, and that's not okay.
They end Medicare as we know it, $6,000. She's hit with the fact in 3 minutes. In a 3-minute soundbite, Wolf Blitzer told her no less than 8 times nobody over 55 is affected by Ryan's Medicare plan. She refuses to accept it. She doesn't know what he's talking about. Her talking points are all that matter, and that is they're going to kill the program, take away the safety net, the voucher isn't going to be enough, and everybody's going to die. She was one of the robots telling us that if Obamacare passed, that costs were going to go down. Now here she is talking about never-ending cost increases. One other thing, though. I can't let Wolf off the hook totally here, because there's a problem with what Blitzer was saying. He is wrong. Americans under the age of 55 have the option of staying in the current Medicare system. They are not automatically, every one of them, shunted off into this new voucher plan. When you hit the age of 55, if you're 20 now, you have a choice. Stay in the current plan. It's always going to exist. But there's going to be a private sector option where you are given the money that is spent on you for Medicare. You're given that money. You go shop your own medical care. Keep what you don't spend. The idea is to bring back competition in healthcare and have prices that are commensurate with what people can afford to pay. Now, this is important here because for 3 minutes, she's hit with the truth, and she doesn't know what it is. And if she does know, then she's just a very, very poor liar and was nothing more than robotic. But she still said it, and there's still a lot of seniors out there who may not know what's going to scratch in their heads now. And the question, who are they going to believe? Wolf Blitzer, when he says, no, if you're older 55, you have nothing is going to change for you. Or are they going to believe Debbie Blabbermouth-Schultz? That's the challenge we all got. But, look, I got to take a break, folks. I'm a little long, as always seems to happen in this segment. We'll be back. Don't go away. Excellent.